Once upon a time, in a small village called Ule, lived a man named Chinedu. Chinedu was a farmer, working hard every day to provide for his family. He had a loving wife named Chioma and a young son named Ikenna. Chinedu loved his family very much, but he was not a rich man. They lived in a simple hut and often had just enough food to eat. One day, Chinedu's childhood friend Emeka came to visit. Emeka was a wealthy trader who traveled to many places. When Emeka saw Chinedu's humble home, he laughed and said, "Chinedu, you are still so poor. Look at me. I have wealth and power. You are nothing compared to me." Emeka's words hurt Chinedu deeply. From that day on, Chinedu could not stop thinking about Emeka's word. He wanted to be rich and powerful like his friend. He began to feel ashamed of his simple life. He wanted to show Emeka that he could be great too. Chinedu started looking for a way to become rich. He worked even harder on his farm, but no matter how much he worked, he remained poor. He began to lose hope. One night, while he was sitting outside his hut, an old man approached him. The old man had a long white beard and carried a staff. The old man said, "Chinedu, I have seen your hard work and your desire for wealth. I can help you, but you must be willing to make a great sacrifice." Chinedu was curious and asked, "What kind of sacrifice?" The old man looked at him with serious eyes and said, "You must sacrifice something very dear to you, something that you love the most." Chinedu thought about his family. He loved them more than anything in the world, but the desire for wealth and power was strong. He hesitated but then asked, "What must I sacrifice?" The old man replied, "Your only son, Ikenna." Chinedu was shocked. He loved Ikenna more than anything. The thought of losing him was unbearable, but the old man's words echoed in his mind. "You must sacrifice something very dear to you." The desire to be rich and powerful like Emeka grew stronger every day. Chinedu tried to ignore the old man's word, but they haunted him. He began to feel a strange pull towards the idea. He convinced himself that he was doing this for his family's future. He thought about how happy Chioma would be if they were rich, how proud Ikenna would be to have a powerful father. Days turned into weeks, and Chinedu's mind was in turmoil. Finally, he made up his mind. He would do whatever it took to become rich, even if it meant sacrificing his beloved son. One dark night, Chinedu took Ikenna to the edge of the village, near a sacred tree. The old man was waiting there. Chinedu's heart was heavy with sorrow, but he was determined to go through with it. The old man began to chant and draw symbols on the ground. Ikenna looked up at his father with innocent eyes and asked, "Papa, why are we here?" Chinedu could not bring himself to look at Ikenna. He fought back tears and said, "It is for our future, my son." The old man handed Chinedu a knife and said, "You must do it now." With a trembling hand, Chinedu took the knife. He looked at Ikenna one last time, his heart breaking, but his desire for wealth and power blinded him. He closed his eyes and did the unthinkable. As soon as the act was done, the ground shook, and a bright light surrounded them. The old man disappeared, and Chinedu was left alone with his son's lifeless body. He fell to his knees, realizing the gravity of what he has done. Tears streamed down his face as he held Ikenna close, whispering, "Forgive me, my son." Suddenly, a voice echoed in the air. "You have made the sacrifice. Now you shall have what you desire." Chinedu was filled with a strange energy. He stood up and saw that his simple clothes had turned into rich garments. He looked around and saw a grand house where his horse was stood. He had become wealthy and powerful, just like he had wanted, but at what cost? The news of Chinedu's sudden wealth spread quickly through the village. People were amazed and wondered how he had become so rich overnight. He was always sad and distant. Chioma was thrilled with their new life, but she noticed that Chinedu was not the same. Chioma asked him, "Chinedu, what happened? How did we get all this wealth?" Chinedu could not tell her the truth. He simply said, "I made a deal. Chioma, it is for our future." Chioma did not press forward, but she knew something was wrong. She missed Ikenna terribly and noticed that Chinedu's sadness grew deeper every day. She tried to comfort him, but nothing seems to help. Chinedu's words brought him power, and soon he became a respected man in the village. He built schools, helped the poor, and became a leader. People admire him and praise his generosity, but none of this brought him happiness. He was haunted by the memory of what he has done. One day, Emeka came to visit. He was surprised to see Chinedu's grand house and his newfound wealth. He asked Chinedu, "How did you become so rich?" Chinedu forced a smile and said, "I work hard, Emeka." Emeka was impressed and no longer mocked Chinedu, but Chinedu felt no joy in this. He realized that he had lost the most precious thing in his life for a fleeting moment of pride. As days passed, Chinedu became more withdrawn. He avoided the places where he and Ikenna used to play. He could not hear to see anything that reminded him of his son. The villagers noticed the change in him and whispered among themselves. One night, Chioma found Chinedu sitting alone, staring at the stars. She sat beside him and said, "Chinedu, I miss Ikenna so much. Do you think he is in a better place?" Chinedu's heart ached. He wanted to tell Chioma the truth, but he was afraid of losing her too. He simply said, "Yes, Chioma, he is in a better place." Chioma hugged him and whispered, "We will get through this together." Despite his wealth and power, Chinedu could not find peace. He began to have nightmares. In his dream, he saw Ikenna calling out to him, asking why he had done it. Chinedu would wake up in a cold sweat. his heart pounding. He realized that no amount of wealth could ever erase the pain of losing his son. One day, an old woman came to Chinedu's house. She was known as a wise healer in the village. She looked at Chinedu and said, "I know what you have done, Chinedu. The spirits are restless. You must seek forgiveness." Chinedu was startled. He asked, "How can I find forgiveness?" The old woman replied, "You must confess your sin and seek the forgiveness of those you have wronged." Chinedu knew what he has to do, but he was terrified. He did not know if he could face the truth. Chinedu decided to visit the sacred tree where he had made the sacrifice. He knelt before the tree and cried out, "Spirits, forgive me. I was blinded by my desire for wealth and power. I have lost my son, and my heart is heavy with sorrow. Please show me a way to make things right." As he wept, he felt a gentle breeze and heard a soft voice say, "Seek the forgiveness of your wife and the village. Only then will you find peace." Chinedu knew it was time to tell Chioma the truth. His heart was filled with fear, but he knew he could not live with the lie and anger any longer. Chinedu returned home and found Chioma sitting by the fire. He took her hand and said, "Chioma, there is something I must tell you. It is a heavy burden that I have carried for too long." Chioma looked at him with concern and said, "What is it, Chinedu?" With a trembling voice, Chinedu confessed everything. He told her about the old man, the sacrifice, and his regrets. Chioma was shocked and heartbroken. Tears streamed down her face as she cried, "How could you do this, Chinedu? How could you take our son from us?" Chinedu fell to his knees, begging for her forgiveness. "I was blinded by my desire for wealth. I thought I was doing it for us, but I was wrong. Please, Chioma, forgive me." Chioma was devastated, but she saw the deep remorse in Chinedu's eyes. She knew that he was suffering too. She took a deep breath and said, "I forgive you, Chinedu, but we must seek forgiveness from the village as well." The next day, Chinedu and Chioma called a meeting with the villagers. Everyone gathered in the village square, curious to hear what Chinedu had to say. Chinedu stood before them, his heart pounding with fear and shame. He began, "My friends, I have a confession to make. I have wronged you all in my desire for wealth and power. I made a terrible mistake. I sacrificed my own son, Ikenna, and for that, I am deeply sorry." The villagers were shocked and murmured among themselves. Some were angry, while others were sad. Chinedu continued, "I know that I do not desire your forgiveness, but I beg you to find it in your heart to forgive me. I am willing to do whatever it takes to make things right." An elder stepped forward and said, "Chinedu, what you have done is unforgivable, but we can see the remorse in your heart. We will think about your word and decide what must be done. The villagers spent several days discussing Chinedu's confession. Some wanted to punish him, while others believed in forgiveness. Finally, the elders called another meeting. They stood before the villagers and said, "We have decided to give Chinedu a chance to make amends. He must use his words to help the village and honor the memory of his son Ikenna." Chinedu was relieved and grateful. He promised to do everything he could to help the village. He started by building a school in Ikenna's name, providing education for all the children in the village. He also helped to improve the farm and provide better living conditions for everyone. As Chinedu worked to help the village, he began to find some peace. The villagers saw his efforts and slowly started to forgive him. Chioma stood by his side, supporting him every step of the way. She saw the change in Chinedu and knew that he was truly sorry for what he has done. Chinedu's nightmare became less frequent, but he still missed Ikenna deeply. He often visited the sacred tree, asking for guidance and strength. He knew that he could never bring Ikenna back, but he hoped to honor his son's memory by doing good for others. Lessons on this story. True worth comes from the love and support of family and friends, not from material possession or power. Cherish and value loved ones is more important than any external sources. Forgiveness is a powerful force that can heal wounds and bring peace. Both seeking and granting forgiveness are essential for persecuted growth and community harmony. Greedy and desire for power can lead to destruction. Please consider to subscribe to this channel. We have great stories in stock for you. Thank you.